Alright, so here we are in Pro Tools, and I'm going to show you how to work your FL Studio and your Reason within Pro Tools. Basically just using your Pro Tools as a foundation, and then everything that you would need from FL Studio and everything that you would need from Reason, just bringing it into your Pro Tools session. So basically Pro Tools is the master, and Reason and FL Studio is going to be the slave. And you kind of want to look at it as, okay, now I got FL Studio as a plugin. I'm using it via Rewired. Now I got all these plugins. So just look at it as plugins. So now I got access to all of FL Studio plugins, and I also have access to all of Reason's plugins within inside Pro Tools. So let me show you how to enable both of these programs to communicate with Pro Tools. Like I said, even if you're not a Pro Tools head, if that's not your main program, if FL Studio is your main program, that's all good and well, because eventually, as a producer, you're going to want to learn how to work Pro Tools because it's the industry standard program, and it's used in studios all over the world. And eventually, if you're going to become an accomplished producer, you're going to have to learn how to use Pro Tools. I mean, there's just no way of getting around it. So this will make it a little bit easier. If you use FL Studio as a foundational program, definitely this will help you. So check it on out. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to go ahead to our inserts here, and the way I loaded this channel up here was you go to this little drop down here, left click, and then you go to inserts A through E. It'll bring this up, and I always keep this input output here for my volume control, but you can just hit Alt and get rid of that, Alt and left click, and if you want to bring that back up, you just left click and then go to your input output settings, but I like to keep that open sometimes. Okay, so from my inserts menu, I'm going to go ahead and left click, and then I'm going to go to plugin, and then from plugin I'm going to go down to instrument, and then you're going to see FL Studio Mono. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Alright, so here we are in FL Studio, and what I want to go ahead and do right off the bat is make sure my step sequencer is open, and make sure my mixer window is open. So you want to make sure these two windows are open. Now your master channel, okay, you always want to make sure it's set to FL1. 1 is going to be your main output. I think by default sometimes it's just set to none. I'm not really sure. It may just be FL1. That's just the standard default setting. Okay, so you want to make sure you're outputting on FL channel 1. Your main channel, your main master channel is going out through FL1. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to bring up my channel settings window. Okay, so I'm going to left click on kick. Alright, and then here's the channel settings window here, and I want to make sure that I'm on channel 1. I'm going to use channel 1 for this. So I want to make sure my effects settings is going to be set to mixer channel 1. Okay, so I need to make sure this is at channel 1. And as you can see, if I left click and drag up or down, if you look at the mixer over here, it's going to highlight each track. So if I'm going up, down, it just corresponds to whichever track that you want to be on. So right now we want to be on track 1. Okay, so we have our channel set to track 1. Now this is important, okay? We're going to have all of our sound coming out of channel 3 in Pro Tools. So we need to make sure that your output is going to be set to channel 3. Okay? And let me just bring up Pro Tools again real quick. As you can see, when we brought in this plugin, let me switch to the mixer view, Control plus. Alright, if I click on the FL Studio logo there, you'll see FL Studio left. Remember, this is the mono channel. FL Studio left is coming out of channel 3. So in FL Studio, we want to make sure that channel 1 is coming out of channel 3. Okay, little bit, it's a little confusing, but it'll start coming together for you. All right, so now on my first channel here, let's just go ahead and load up some kind of plugin, some random plugin. Let's go ahead and load up FL Keys. All right, so there we go. So we're going to use FL Keys on channel 1. Now, as you can see, there's no sound yet. I'm hitting on my MIDI keyboard, and there's no sound yet. But as you can see, it's working, it's functioning. You can see the MIDI dialog box highlighted. So if you ever want to know if your MIDI keyboard is communicating with your software in FL Studio, just make sure you see this little box here highlighting. Okay, if it highlights, then you're getting communication, and it's all good. Okay, so on channel 1 in FL Studio, we loaded up FL Keys. Okay, and this is going to be coming out through channel 3 in Pro Tools. Alright, and then our master channel and FL Studio is coming out through FL1. Okay, so let's go back to Pro Tools. Okay, now this is the important part. Now I'm in my mixer view. Okay, edit, and then mixer, Alright, let me just X this box out. Now up here you want to make sure that if you go to view and I believe it's instruments, okay, sometimes by default it's going to look like this. Okay, it's not going to have the instrument view where you can see it, so you're going to have to go to view, mixed window views, and instruments. Okay, now you're going to see that drop down box right there. Now if you left click right down here, okay, it's going to show you all of FL Studio's channels. It's going to show you what's loaded up on FL Studio, and we loaded up the keys on channel 1. Alright, so just go back to there and you'll see what I'm talking about. Keys right here, okay, boom, it's on channel 1. Let's just make sure, okay, boom, keys, channel 1. Alright, so channel 1, alright, and then let's go back to Pro Tools, back up here, okay, keys, channel 1. So you want to make sure that's selected, because if that's not selected you're not going to hear anything. Alright, so let me go back to the edit view right there, and as you can see, okay, so now we're triggering that sound via Rewire from FL Studio. Okay, so, and also you want to notice here at the tempo, when you're working with Rewire, you know, whatever is your master program, you know, in this tutorial, Pro Tools is our master program. You know, whatever you set the tempo to, you load up FL Studio. Let's say your Pro Tools session is set at, you know, 95 beats per minute, and you use FL Studio as a plugin via Rewire. Okay, that tempo is going to be set to 95. Okay, that's going to be your master tempo. Whatever the tempo is in Pro Tools, whatever, that's going to be your master tempo for whatever plugin that you bring in, for whatever plugin you bring in via Rewire. Okay, so because FL Studio is now a slave to Pro Tools. Okay, so you're controlling FL Studio from Pro Tools via Rewire. So if I change this, let's say, okay, I'm going to change the tempo to you know, 128, or let's just say 120. Okay, I'm gonna bring it down to 120. If I go back into FL Studio, you see the tempo here set 120. Okay, because FL Studio is now a slave. Okay, so let's just go ahead and lay down some chords, and just so you can see, you know, everything lines up. It's as if, you know, you weren't using anything via Rewire. This is going to work just as if you loaded up a plugin from within Pro Tools. The only difference is now we're using FL Studio as a plugin. So let me go ahead and start recording this. Just going to do you know, 2 bars of some chords. So just go ahead and lay this down real quick. Okay, that's it. Let's just go ahead and trim that off, bring it back to the beginning. Boom. And also, this is something that drove me nuts for the longest time, and hopefully this is going to help you out. I was never able to get my tracks lined up when I first started using MIDI. I was like, man, how do I quantize these tracks? I couldn't figure it out. Well, in Pro Tools, if you hold down the Alt button, or I believe in on the Mac it's option, you can tell I'm not a Mac head. I'm a PC head to the core. I love Macs, you know, but I mean, I'm a PC head at heart. So, I mean, you know, either way, I mean, you hear 2 songs on the radio, 2 hit songs. One was done with a PC, one was done with a Mac. Can you tell the difference? I can't tell the difference, so it's all good. Just use what you're comfortable with. Alright, so let me go ahead and hit Alt-0. Boom, Alt-0. Now with the track selected, okay, you want to make sure that your strength is selected there, strength, and keep it at 100. And watch the notes as I hit apply. I have everything set to 16th notes. Hit apply, boom. They shift over just a little bit, so it'll be locked into the 16th note. So let me go ahead and play that. Oh. There we go. Okay. And as I'm playing this, let me just show you what FL Studio, see? It's triggering everything within this plugin. Okay? So we're totally controlling the FL Studio from within Pro Tools. Okay?